This is Suzanne with my 5 minutes on vehicles. I'm not a vehicular person. The best 17 years of my life were in Chicago, Illinois, with no vehicle. So that was my favorite vehicular time. I could walk. It was flat. If I wanted to go further than walkable, I had wonderful public transportation that was cheap. It was my idea of paradise. I even had a grocery store in my basement that delivered. So that's my best vehicular time. My favorite vehicle was a 1967 baby blue Mustang convertible with slightly darker blue leather interior, a white top, factory air, all the good stuff. It was a California car. I was the third owner, and this was 1985. And it was a beauty. The power steering didn't always work. And in Memphis, Tennessee, as well as Atlanta, Georgia, I discovered through my years of owning it, even though it was a really super good-looking car, and I looked good in it back in my younger days. There's a very narrow window for when a convertible is comfortable, because below 70, it's really chilly, and you want the heater on and the windows rolled up, which looks dumb and defeats the purpose of looking cool in a convertible. Over about 80, you need to really be moving, which beats you up far more than you would ever think, or you get too hot. So again, narrow window for enjoyment. And then comes the rain. The desert is the best place for a convertible because eventually those babies leak. I mean, they leak like a sieve. So when the time came when I finally let that Mustang go, mainly because I was divorcing my mechanic, and that's really the only way you can afford a classic like that. I was ready for absolutely nothing with a sunroof, moonroof, or any way that water could get into your vehicle. Worst car. Believe it or not, it was another blue Mustang that I had gotten in 1980, 81, I can't remember, I kind of block it out. And if the lemon law had been in effect, I would have been all over it. There was something always wrong. Bought it new. Something always wrong with this car. And take it to the dealer, and they would mess things up, fixing whatever it was that wasn't working to the extent that I wrote a letter and to Ford and got the response of, "Lady, you're not having trouble with our repair company, you're having trouble with your car." Didn't like that. But, they also messed up getting the title assigned to the place where I had the car note. So when the time came to get the tags renewed, because the title was missing, I found out, I managed to let it expire, get caught for that, and ended up in night court, where it turned out I was the last person. It was about 9 o'clock at night. I mean, it was interesting listening, but turns out the judge was a friend of the dealership owner, and he informed me. Sorry about that. I had to pause to help Travis out. It's one of the problems with talking while walking a dog. Anyway, I was informed that it's a law that they have to get you the title within 24 hours of a request or sale, or they have to refund all monies and any vehicle. Since it had been about a year, there was no way that they were finding that vehicle, nor did they want to pay me. I thought that was a pretty good idea. When I called the dealer, it was a salesman. He kind of laughed at me and said, well, we'll get it as soon as we can. I said, no, you don't understand. I don't have a car to drive, and I need a vehicle. But I would settle if you would just give me a loaner vehicle. And he said, that's not happening. I said, call your lawyer. And about 5 minutes later, he called back, and he said, what time are you picking up your loaner? And I said, can you bring it to me now? Because I do not have a way to get it. And he did. Got rid of that car shortly after that. And that's my vehicular stories.
Time 10 minutes. Distance 1.46 kilometers. Average heart rate 135. Workout average pace 6 minutes 51 seconds per kilometer.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Carlos. Hi. It's a running jackal. Recording his segment for your 5 minutes. I might as well walk for this little bit of recording. I think you've all heard enough of me running and recording. Today I'll give you a break from that. Also, I'm wearing my empty backpack, which is kind of jingling and jangling as I run, so I can eliminate that annoyance just by hiking for the next 4.5 minutes. So the topic this week of your 5 minutes is cars, my best and my worst. So I'm going to start with the worst car that I ever owned, and it's probably the car that I owned for the least amount of time. It was a VW Beetle, bright orange. I'm not sure if it had the double rear window or the single, probably the double. This was one of my very first cars. I don't think it was hand painted. That one came later. But this car cost me at the time 150 pounds, English pounds, and I bought it from an ad in the newspaper. It was not a particularly good car to drive. The gearbox felt like you were stirring soup, trying to find gears. Anyway, the next morning, I was going to drive to work, and I got in the car, a little groggy. I was 19 at the time, I believe, and driving down a narrow avenue at rush hour, I managed to drift out of my lane and clip a car on the opposite side. We were both moving in steady traffic in opposite directions. So I really had no option but to keep moving. Anyway, that car lasted another day before I abandoned it. I hadn't registered it, so it was just an abandoned vehicle found in a London suburb. Now, my best car was a Morris Minor converted, hand-painted from the General Post Office. It was a post office van, Morris Minor 1000 panel van, hand-painted silver with matte black wheel arches, mud guards or whatever they call them, fenders. That car was a pleasure to drive, easy to maintain, plus it actually worked for me. I had that van while I was delivering wine to people's houses. So I would advertise the neighborhood and then wait for my orders to come in. I was probably one of the cheapest suppliers of Spanish wine at the time because I had a friend's connection with a winery bottling and labeling Spanish wine.
Time 15 minutes. Distance 2 kilometers.
So that was my 5 minutes
Workout average
of
pace
my
30
worst
seconds per kilometer.
and best car. Worst being the VW, and best because it was working for me was the Morris Minor van. Well, there you go. Bye-bye. Oh, look, Betham's got something just like yours. Oh, this is yours. Okay.
Do you want a bottle of water? I've done 2 bottles. Norma?
No, I'm fine, thank you. But you dropped a bit of paper. I don't know if it's important.
It's got boogie on it.
No, I don't think so. It might have been through the wash. That's what it looks like.
Sit next to Norma. You sit next to Norma.
I'll sit next to Lou this time. You girls can sit in the back. This is a nice car. The Ford Focus, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Would you say this was your Louis' favourite car?
What, the cars he's had?
Yeah, he seems to like it.
I don't know. Maybe an Alpha would be a favourite.
Louis,
Sir,
which is your favourite car, do you think?
favorite car?
Favourite, your favourite.
Favorite car?
Yeah. The Alpha? Car.
More car.
Right.
I know you used to like the red Alpha.
Yeah.
You give your cars names. What's this one called?
No car. No.
This one doesn't have a name.
That's just my car.
My car.
And the black one is Beth's car. It's your car.
Yeah. You must have had a few lemons in your time, though, eh?
Well,
As a young man.
probably.
Hundreds of cars have gone through our hands.
Clear ahead, Father? College?
Clear behind, clear ahead, yep. Clear above. Well, overcast. Lots of
26 what, Beth?
vapor trails. Lots of aircraft.
I was playing tennis with my tennis partner, and there was one vapor trail that was absolutely straight. They went wiggle, 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 then went straight again. And Robert said, "Oh, that's when the pilot interfered with the stewardess."
Oh, okay. And she slapped him while he was steering. Yeah.
Now, Richmond, Beth. Quick, Richmond, Beth.
Quickest way to Richmond?
Down to Richmond,
Kingston.
where Nick and Val live, and down
Robin Hood
Oh,
Road.
down Latsbury Road, yeah?
the end to where Alan's mum used to live.
Yeah, Latsbury Road, yeah.
I remember my favourite car was that Morris van. Do you remember that Morris Minor van that I had? The one that was silver grey? It with black fenders. Whoa, okay. Quite a few people here.
Not counting behind and they will have a little grill outside to put some food. But they will also be standing so
Well, you notice that even though they have numbered seats, there's no in between. So they, if you had large people or small people, you could get more people in.
Those ones are actual seats.
It's a curious stage, isn't it? It's got like a little roof to it for the lighting, I guess. Piece of clothing that looks like a jacket or something. It's like when you're in the theater, in the movies, in the cinema, and you think, oh, the lights are dimming, and well, they were dimming.
Aggression, not violence. Simply, please listen to me, not violence. Simply that people's, yes, their feelings are aroused, their feelings are naturally aroused, and so it is a strain, it is a stress, yes, to deal, undeniably, to deal with people, yes, but that is what I enjoy, that is what I'm good at, okay? What risk? You're being ridiculous. Well, I'm not angry. I'm just trying to explain one or two. Okay, I sound angry, but I'm not angry. I'm just trying to explain one or two things. I'm just trying to explain one or two things about... What? What young man? What young man? Come on, there is no young man. Toby! No. Toby is history. I'll never forgive him for what happened in the restaurant. What? Didn't I tell you what happened in the restaurant? The bill. Okay, so there's 8 of us in this smart Italian place. Are you sure I haven't told you this? Okay, so we're celebrating opening a new office because suddenly we've got new offices opening everywhere. It's insane. Anyway, when the bill comes, the assumption, quite naturally, is that we'll divide it. We'll divide it by 6 or by 8 or by however many of us there are. As you do, exactly. But then, Toby starts this business where he says that the two of us, like we're some kind of married couple, that the two of us have had less than the others. Well, no, of course it's not appropriate, but he asks for the menu back. And then can you believe this? He makes everyone calculate their own separate totals. At which point, I just want, well, exactly, die. And of course, the separate totals, in no way do they add up to the exact amount. But he just won't let it rest. He just keeps going on and on and on about who ate this and who drank that, who had coffee, who didn't have coffee. And the worst thing is that I'm dragged into this. No, I am sucked into this because Toby is implicating me. in this mad, just this mad thing. Yeah.
It's sexy. In fact, Beam, our onboard entertainment service, is stuffed to the eyeballs with a whole host of films and TV shows, so you can give your mind a detour while your body goes straight to your destination. A real one. Virgin Trains.